Help! First up, a quick last nudge. I have a short anonymous survey running to help me shape the color bar better this year. It's very short, like 2 minutes, really. So I'd appreciate it muchly if you could head over there with your responses. As the blurring of formats and mediums powers on, the color bar pokes around this week on how video continues to devour our content spaces. Audio meet video, the format formerly known as podcasts. In curated cuts, there's a dance of ice and fire plus iconic bikes in battle. Reels on TV. Wait, this is the TV app for Instagram? Vertical Disney, more scrolling, yay! Plus YouTube in 2026, Spotify's future, and prompt stealing. This is the color bar, like a friend in the industry who reads so widely that you don't have to. TFFKAP, or the format formerly known as podcasts. The incredible and seemingly irreversible importance of video in the world of podcasts is now a given. All podcasts worth their salt are expected to have a video equivalent. Firstly, as an attempt to become part of the podcast explosion that YouTube has muscled its way into, and secondly, to provide memorable clips for Reels and TikTok and Shorts. Now, this means that the much touted ease of sitting down and starting a podcast is rapidly falling by the wayside. It also means many pods seem now to be always on the lookout for that snappy line, that controversial excerpt, that tantalizing blurb, which works so well for thumb stopping. The research, opinion, or personality that was enough for most pods now additionally needs production value, social strategy, and muscle. Alas, our democratization, as we have seen all too often now, needs an investor. Look at me here, waxing on this back in 2024. If video is just going to be table stakes for podcasters, many smart and engaging minds could be discouraged or intimidated to even get into podcasting at all. Now, the space has steadily been growing increasingly crowded, becoming ever more complex. With the preeminence of video, the essentials of what was proudly and organically an audio only format are dissolving into a more TV approach. Plus, the flood of clipping across formats could push long, rich podcasts into mere clip factories, where the sustainability remains highly questionable. Here's a quote from a piece I've linked to. Netflix's foray into the vast, strange, and increasingly confusing world of podcasting now swung so deeply into video territory that its arrival on Hollywood's biggest streaming service feels less like a category violation than it might have just a few years ago, when the medium was still defined by an audio first shape and RSS feeds. As it may now seem inevitable, Netflix has entered the space last year, but this podcast foray can actually be framed as part of its battle for the big screen with YouTube, which in many ways should also be seen as a battle for lean back viewing or daytime TV. Nicholas Qua questions this identity crisis of sorts, arguing that everything will become YouTube in 2026. His piece on Vulture says, "We are watching these two media giants being forced to define what it is and what it is willing to become in response to the other. Netflix can frame its podcast rollout as experimentation or even inevitability. But what it's really doing is opening the door to blurring whatever makes it distinct from YouTube's user generated universe." While we're on it, Netflix announced The Pete Davidson Show, its first original video podcast. The show will mostly be filmed in his garage, where all the best conversations happen, he says, but will also hit the road. Me? I say, do you mean talk show? Also, it won't appear on any other platforms at all, including audio versions on, say, the Apple app. So, like actual podcasts. It hits Netflix on the 30th of Jan, so feel free to watch the podcast or listen to the talk show or something like that. Curated cuts, a dance of ice and fire. Snow, trails, fire. The Winter Olympics are upon us, and that means we can expect some fine trailer work. The BBC creative team continues to maintain their wonderfully creative aspirations, this time working with the consistently distinct, boundary pushing work of Nomint and director Yanis Konstantinitis. Even though I'm not a fan of the line, "trails will blaze," there is so much that is great here. The contrast of snow and fire, the challenge of an orchestrated, tightly controlled technique, stop motion, with a fickle, famously uncontrollable element, fire. These represent not only the production challenge, but also the effect it has on us, the viewers. If you've somehow not seen their stunning work before, please go now. check it out. And if you have, in some ways, the marvel of what's been pulled off here is diminished because they spoil us with their incredible craft and ambition. As Yanis says, I wish I could do it more, but I'll probably never do it again. The BTS for these kinds of projects is always almost as much fun. So watch it here. I've linked to it and with the full credits as well. Bikes and Battles. The iconic bike brand Royal Enfield has collaborated with Craft on India or BGMI, which will see its motorcycles appear in Battlegrounds Mobile India. The collab is cool, and the visual spectacle in the announcement spot is cooler. I can be persuaded when cliches, and there are a fair few here, are executed with such panache. My only gripe though, what happened with the voiceover, man? Maybe it's the cool bikes or cool American narration thought process, but it was so jarring to me. Coming from a brand that also did these two spots, which I've linked to in the past 18 months, it just feels a bit off note. Reels on TV. Right, so we heard sometime in mid 2025 that Instagram was plotting an app for connected TVs. YouTube has made its place on the big screen, and from what we hear, YouTube Shorts are doing okay too. And communal viewing, lean back experiences, background TV, podcasts, more long form, so many reasons YouTube seems to be killing it in the living room. Now, while IG does not come to this ecosystem with anything resembling the YouTube content repertoire nor viewing habits, you kindly allowed for that premise to kind of make sense. But they've now released this Reels on TV commercial a few days back, and it left me feeling like maybe this app isn't a good idea after all. It made the whole proposition real, but also very meh. It goes and literally replicates the IG experience onto a TV, scrolling, super short, vertical, ephemeral. Surely that can't be it. And the whole communal viewing use case here, right? What's the thinking? How keen will people be to watch each other's algorithms or indeed share their own algo fueled idiosyncrasies on the telly? I don't know. Despite the cute, clever scrolling technique that they've come up with in the spot, it just deflated any positivity around this, methinks. Also, man, those sets, most of those TVs just didn't feel like they belonged to those spaces at all. Compulsive ad watcher Andrew Tyndall gives it all a zero. He sees the product itself dying, leaving us with the unsettling possibility that if it doesn't find its grave, he has promised he will, quote, do a webinar in a chicken costume about how very wrong he was. Relatedly, Substack, that dear haven for writers, journals, bloggers, and wordsmiths, is leaning even more into video. Now they have a TV app too. Wait, what? I won't explain because I'm not sure I can or I want to. And Spotify, the audio streaming service, also believes video is key to the future with young people. Daniel X said recently they want to watch videos of everything. Eyeballs, people, eyeballs. Vertical Disney. Talking of vertical videos, Disney will have them joyously bubbling in the Disney Plus app sometime this year in an attempt at, quote, turning Disney Plus into a must visit daily destination, end quote. Now, sure, mobile has primacy in the way content is consumed, and this could be another easy time suck for users. I suppose my question here is intent. Does Disney expect a vertical feed a la TikTok to help keep existing customers on the platform or to draw in new ones? I can see how the former can work to a certain extent for those already committed to plonking the dollars every month for the streaming service, and they'd need to be proper fans. But the rest of us, whose daily diet is already dominated by free scrolling vertical videos, are surely not going to be lured in by this feature enough to pay $15 or $20 a month for the privilege. And exactly what kind of videos will these be? It's unclear at the moment. Their EVP said, quote, everything's on the table. So we should expect ported social media clips, cut downs from shows, even original content. I know maybe some AI generated goodness from that not so clear OpenAI deal they announced. If you are thinking that sounds like throwing a lot on the wall to see what sticks, don't worry. We are reassured, quote, it won't be a kind of disjointed random experience, end quote. They might have some learnings from last year's launch of Verts on the ESPN app, though arguably sports lends itself very differently to the ecosystem. Quick hits. YouTube 2026. Jim Louderback over at the Inside Creator Economy newsletter has a great summary of what to take away from YouTube CEO Neil Mohan's recent roadmap sharing. Spotify. Bloomberg has a pretty solid and interesting piece for the new leaders of the service. Fun fact, the co CEOs are literal complementary opposites. Nordstrom means North Stream in Swedish, and Sodastrom means South Stream. Who'd have thunk it? AI. Furious AI users say their prompts are being plagiarized. That's right, people. Quote, they now feel entitled to the specific prompts they use to churn out slop, as if the entire technology wasn't based on the work of human artists that had been ingested without consent to begin with. Nope, no irony at all. And with a quote from one of the co CEOs of Spotify, Nordstrom. We are going to invest in content and things on the platform that actually require you to commit a little bit. We want to create energy and culture, not just use it up. Bold words, a fine promise. We shall see. That's it for the week. I hope you enjoyed that. Ping me with any feedback, requests to feature, or ideas to collaborate. I work with individuals and teams on content and creativity. For a more eclectic set of writings, I would love for you to have a look at my weekly Substack, Coffee and Conversations.